Hello everyone, welcome to this complete practice marathon for the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner CLF-C02 exam. If you are a student, fresher, IT beginner, or even a working professional who wants to enter cloud computing, this is one of the best starting certifications in the world. The AWS Cloud Practitioner exam tests your understanding of cloud concepts, AWS core services, security and compliance, billing and pricing, and basic architectural ideas. This exam is not about deep technical coding. It is about understanding how cloud works, how AWS provides services, and how businesses use AWS. By the end of this video, you should feel confident to attempt the real exam. To pass the AWS Cloud Practitioner exam in 2026, you don't need to memorize everything. You need to understand concepts clearly. Follow this simple plan. First, understand cloud basics like what is cloud computing, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, public, private, and hybrid cloud, regions, availability zones, and edge locations. Second, focus on core AWS services like EC2, S3, RDS, Lambda, VPC, IAM, CloudWatch, CloudFront, Route 53, and basic storage types. Third, learn security and responsibility. The shared responsibility model, IAM users, roles and policies, MFA and encryption, compliance basics. Fourth, understand pricing. Pay-as-you-go, reserved and savings plans, free tier, billing dashboard, and cost explorer. And finally, practice questions daily. The more you practice, the more confident you become. This video is designed to help you with the most important step, practice. This is a 500-question practice series. And this video is part 1, covering the first 100 questions. These questions cover cloud computing fundamentals, AWS global infrastructure, compute, storage and database services, networking and content delivery, security, identity and compliance, monitoring and management tools, billing, pricing and support plans, and real-world scenario-based questions. For every question, you will see the question on screen, multiple choice options, the correct answer, and a clear explanation. I will also explain why the correct option is right and why the other options are wrong. This will not just help you pass the exam, it will help you understand cloud in real life. This video is created only for educational purposes. These questions are not real exam questions, not leaked or dumped content, not copied from AWS or any paid platform. They are original, inspired by official AWS exam guide, public documentation, and common exam patterns. The goal of this video is to help you understand concepts, practice smartly, and prepare ethically. Do not rely only on one video. Always study from official documentation and multiple resources. If you truly understand the concepts explained here, you will be able to clear the exam with confidence. Let's start your AWS cloud journey. Good luck, and let's begin. Question 1. What is the main benefit of cloud computing compared to traditional on-premises infrastructure? A. Fixed cost model. B. Unlimited hardware ownership. C. Pay only for what you use. D. No need for internet. Correct answer, C. Pay only for what you use. Cloud computing is built on a consumption-based model. Instead of buying servers, storage, and networking equipment in advance, you rent resources as needed. If your usage increases, your cost increases. If your usage decreases, your cost decreases. This removes waste, reduces upfront investment, and allows businesses to scale easily. Why A is wrong, fixed cost model. A fixed cost model means you pay the same amount whether you use the resources fully or not. This is typical in traditional data centers where companies buy hardware upfront. Cloud does the opposite. It changes fixed cost into variable cost. Why B is wrong, unlimited hardware ownership. In cloud computing, you never own the physical servers. The cloud provider owns, manages, repairs, and replaces hardware. Customers only rent virtual resources on top of that hardware. Why D is wrong, no need for internet. Cloud services are accessed through the internet or private network connections. Without connectivity, you cannot reach your cloud resources. Question 2. Which of the following best describes IaaS? A. Software ready to use over the internet. B. Platform to build applications. C. Virtual machines and infrastructure services. D. Email and storage service. Correct answer, C. Virtual machines and infrastructure services. Infrastructure as a service gives you basic building blocks, servers, storage, and networking. You control the operating system, software, and configuration. AWS EC2, EBS, and VPC are examples of IaaS. Why A is wrong. Software ready to use. This describes software as a service, where you only use the application and the provider manages everything else, like Gmail or Office 365. Why B is wrong. Platform to build applications. This is platform as a service. In PaaS, you focus on code and the provider manages servers and OS, like AWS Elastic Beanstalk. Why D is wrong. Email and storage service. Email is just an application, not infrastructure. It does not give you control over servers or networks. Question 3. Which AWS service provides virtual servers in the cloud? A. S3, B. EC2, C. RDS, D. Lambda. Correct answer, B. EC2. Why this is correct? EC2 lets you create virtual machines called instances. You choose CPU, memory, storage, OS, and network. It is like renting a server but fully virtual. Why A is wrong. S3. S3 stores files as objects. It cannot run operating systems or applications like a server. Why C is wrong. RDS. RDS runs databases for you. You cannot use it as a general-purpose server. Why D is wrong. Lambda. Lambda runs small pieces of code without servers that you manage. You cannot log in like a server. Question 4. What is an AWS region? A. A single data center. B. A group of edge locations. C. A geographical area with multiple data centers. D. A virtual network. Correct answer, C. A geographical area with multiple data centers. Why this is correct? A region is a physical location like Mumbai or London. Each region contains multiple availability zones. Regions are isolated for fault tolerance. Why A is wrong. Single data center. A single data center is too small to be a region. Why B is wrong. Group of edge locations. Edge locations belong to CloudFront, not regions. Why D is wrong. Virtual network. A virtual network is called VPC, not region. Question 5. What is an availability zone? A. A country. B. A group of regions. C. One or more data centers in a region. D. A content delivery location. Correct answer C. One or more data centers in a region. Why this is correct? Each AZ is designed to be independent with its own power and networking. Using multiple AZs makes applications highly available. Why A is wrong, country. An AZ is not defined by country borders. Why B is wrong, group of regions. Regions contain AZs, not the other way around. Why D is wrong, content delivery location. That describes edge locations used by CloudFront. Question 6. Which service is used for object storage in AWS? A. EBS, B. EFS, C. S3, D. EC2. Correct answer C. S3. Why this is correct? S3 stores data as objects with unique keys. It is used for backups, videos, images, and static websites. Why A is wrong, EBS. EBS is block storage attached to EC2, like a hard disk. Why B is wrong, EFS. EFS is shared file storage for multiple servers. Why D is wrong, EC2. EC2 is compute, not storage. Question 7. Which service is mainly used for identity and access management? A. CloudWatch, B. IAM, C. VPC, D. Route 53. Correct answer B. IAM. Why this is correct? IAM lets you create users, roles, and permissions and control who can do what in AWS. Why A is wrong, CloudWatch. CloudWatch is for monitoring and logs, not access control. Why C is wrong, VPC. VPC is networking, not identity. Why D is wrong, Route 53. Route 53 is DNS, not access control. Question 8. According to the shared responsibility model, AWS is responsible for what? A. Customer data. B. Application security. C. Physical data center security. D. User passwords. Correct answer C. Physical data center security. Why this is correct? AWS secures buildings, hardware, power, cooling, and physical access to data centers. Why A is wrong, customer data. Customers decide how to secure their own data. Why B is wrong, application security. Customers secure their apps and OS. Why D is wrong, user passwords. Customers manage their own credentials. Question 9. Which pricing model means you pay only when you use a service? A. Fixed pricing, B. Subscription pricing, C. Pay-as-you-go, D. Lifetime license. Correct answer, C. Pay-as-you-go. Why this is correct? You pay based on usage, hours, seconds, storage, or requests. Why A is wrong? Fixed pricing. Fixed pricing means cost does not change with usage. Why B is wrong? Subscription pricing. Subscription usually means monthly commitment. Why D is wrong? Lifetime license. Cloud does not work like one-time purchase software. Question 10. Which AWS service helps monitor resources and logs? A. S3, B. CloudWatch, C. IAM, D. EC2. Correct answer, B. CloudWatch. Why this is correct? CloudWatch collects metrics, logs, and triggers alarms. Why A is wrong? S3. S3 stores data, not monitor. Why C is wrong? IAM. IAM controls access, not performance. Why D is wrong? EC2. EC2 is compute, not monitoring. Question 11. Which AWS service is used to create a private virtual network? A. IAM, B. VPC, C. EC2, or D. Route 53? Correct answer is B. VPC. Why this is correct? VPC lets you create your own isolated virtual network inside AWS. You control IP ranges, subnets, routing tables, and gateways. Why A is wrong? IAM. IAM controls users and permissions, not networking. Why C is wrong? EC2. EC2 is compute, not networking. Why D is wrong? Route 53. Route 53 is DNS, not a private network. Question 12. Which service is mainly used for serverless computing? A. EC2, B. Lambda, C. ECS, or D. EBS? Correct answer is B. Lambda. Why this is correct? Lambda lets you run code without managing servers. AWS handles scaling, patching, and infrastructure. Why A is wrong? EC2. EC2 requires you to manage servers. Why C is wrong? ECS. ECS runs containers but still involves infrastructure. Why D is wrong? EBS. EBS is storage, not compute. Question 13. Which service is best for hosting a static website? A. RDS, B. EC2, C. S3, or D. DynamoDB? Correct answer is C. S3. Why this is correct? S3 can host static websites directly with high durability and low cost. Why A is wrong? RDS. RDS is database, not web hosting. Why B is wrong? EC2. EC2 can host websites but is not simplest for static sites. Why D is wrong? DynamoDB. DynamoDB is NoSQL. Question 14. Which AWS service provides managed relational databases? A. S3, B. DynamoDB, C. RDS, or D. Redshift? Correct answer is C. RDS. Why this is correct? RDS manages MySQL, PostgreSQL, Oracle, SQL Server, and more. Why A is wrong? S3. S3 is object storage. Why B is wrong? DynamoDB. DynamoDB is NoSQL. Why D is wrong? Redshift. Redshift is data warehouse. Question 15. Which AWS service is used for DNS? A. CloudFront, B. Route 53, C. VPC, D. IAM? Correct answer is B. Route 53. Why this is correct? Route 53 translates domain names into IP addresses. Why A is wrong? CloudFront. CloudFront is CDN. Why C is wrong? VPC. VPC is networking, not DNS. Why D is wrong? IAM. IAM is access control. Question 16. Which service is used for content delivery? A. CloudFront, B. S3, C. EC2, D. IAM? Correct answer is A. CloudFront. Why this is correct? CloudFront caches content in edge locations for faster delivery. Why B is wrong? S3. S3 stores content but does not globally cache. Why C is wrong? EC2. EC2 runs servers. Why D is wrong? IAM. IAM is access. Question 17. Which service helps automate infrastructure using code? A. CloudFormation, B. EC2, C. S3, D. CloudWatch? Correct answer is A. CloudFormation. Why this is correct? CloudFormation lets you define infrastructure using templates. Why B is wrong? EC2. EC2 is a service, not an automation tool. Why C is wrong? S3. S3 is storage. Why D is wrong? CloudWatch. CloudWatch is monitoring. Question 18. Which service is used for monitoring and logging? A. IAM, B. S3, C. CloudWatch, D. VPC. Correct answer is C. CloudWatch. Why this is correct? CloudWatch collects logs, metrics, and events. Why A is wrong? IAM is access. Why B is wrong? S3 is storage. Why D is wrong? VPC is networking. Question 19. Which service is used for block storage? A. S3, B. EBS, C. EFS, D. Glacier. Correct answer is B. EBS. Why this is correct? EBS provides block-level storage attached to EC2. Why A is wrong? S3 is object storage. Why C is wrong? EFS is file storage. Why D is wrong? Glacier is archival object storage. Question 20. Which service is used for long-term archival storage? A. S3 standard, B. EBS, C. Glacier, D. EC2. Correct answer is C. Glacier. Glacier is designed for very low-cost, long-term storage. Why A is wrong? S3 standard is for frequent access. Why B is wrong? EBS is for running servers. Why D is wrong? EC2 is compute. Question 21. Which AWS service is used to control inbound and outbound traffic for EC2 instances? A. IAM, B. Security Group, C. Route 53, D. CloudWatch. Correct answer, B. Security Group. Why correct? Security groups act as virtual firewalls for EC2, controlling allowed inbound and outbound traffic at the instance level. Why A is wrong? IAM controls permissions, not network traffic. Why C is wrong? Route 53 handles DNS, not traffic filtering. Why D is wrong? CloudWatch is for monitoring, not access control. Question 22. Which AWS service provides a fully managed NoSQL database? A. RDS, B. DynamoDB, C. Aurora, D. Redshift. Correct answer, B. DynamoDB. Why correct? DynamoDB is a serverless NoSQL database with automatic scaling and high availability. Why A is wrong? RDS is for relational databases. Why C is wrong? Aurora is relational, not NoSQL. Why D is wrong? Redshift is a data warehouse. Question 23. Which AWS service helps reduce costs by offering unused EC2 capacity at lower prices? A. Reserved instances, B. Spot instances, C. On-demand instances, D. Dedicated hosts. Correct answer, B. Spot instances. Why correct? Spot instances use unused AWS capacity at very low cost, ideal for flexible workloads. Why A is wrong? Reserved instances require long-term commitment. Why C is wrong? On-demand is full price. Why D is wrong? Dedicated hosts are more expensive. Question 24. Which AWS support plan gives access to a technical account manager? A. Basic, B. Developer, C. Business, D. Enterprise. Correct answer, D. Enterprise. Why correct? Enterprise support includes a dedicated TAM for proactive guidance. Why A is wrong? Basic has no technical support. Why B is wrong? Developer support has limited access. Why C is wrong? Business does not include a TAM. Question 25. Which AWS service is used to centrally manage multiple AWS accounts? A. IAM, B. AWS organizations, C. CloudTrail, D. Control Tower. Correct answer, B. AWS organizations. Why correct? AWS organizations lets you manage billing, policies, and accounts centrally. Why A is wrong? IAM manages users, not accounts. Why C is wrong? CloudTrail logs API activity. Why D is wrong? Control Tower builds on organizations but is not the base service. Question 26. Which service records all API calls made in an AWS account? A. CloudWatch, B. CloudTrail, C. Config, D. Inspector. Correct answer is B. CloudTrail. Why correct? CloudTrail logs API activity for auditing and security. Why A is wrong? CloudWatch monitors metrics and logs, not API history. Why C is wrong? Config tracks configuration changes. Why D is wrong? Inspector checks vulnerabilities. Question 27. Which AWS service is best for automatic scaling of EC2 instances? A. EC2 autoscaling, B. CloudFormation, C. Elastic Load Balancer, D. CloudWatch. Correct answer is A. EC2 autoscaling. Why correct? Autoscaling adjusts the number of EC2 instances based on demand. Why B is wrong? CloudFormation creates resources, not scale them. Why C is wrong? Load Balancer distributes traffic but does not scale instances. Why D is wrong? CloudWatch monitors but does not scale directly. Question 28. Which AWS service distributes incoming traffic across multiple targets? A. Route 53, B. Elastic Load Balancer, C. CloudFront, D. VPC. Correct answer is B. Elastic Load Balancer. Why correct? ELB spreads traffic across EC2 instances for high availability. Why A is wrong? Route 53 resolves DNS. Why C is wrong? CloudFront is CDN. Why D is wrong? VPC is networking environment.
Question 29. Which AWS service helps track resource configuration changes? A. CloudTrail, B. CloudWatch, C. AWS Config, or D. Inspector? Correct answer C. AWS Config. Why correct? AWS Config records configuration history and compliance. Why A is wrong? CloudTrail tracks API calls. Why B is wrong? CloudWatch tracks performance. Why D is wrong? Inspector analyzes security risks.
Question 30. Which AWS storage option is best for frequently accessed data? A. S3 Glacier, B. S3 Standard, C. S3 Deep Archive, D. EBS Cold HDD. Correct answer is B. S3 Standard. Why correct? S3 Standard is designed for low latency and frequent access. Why A is wrong? Glacier is for archival. Why C is wrong? Deep Archive is very slow access. Why D is wrong? EBS Cold HDD is for infrequent block storage.
Question 31. Which AWS service provides shared file storage for multiple EC2 instances? A. EBS, B. S3, C. EFS, or D. Glacier? Correct answer is C. EFS. Why correct? EFS is a managed file system that can be mounted on multiple EC2 instances at the same time. Why A is wrong? EBS can be attached to only one EC2 instance at a time. Why B is wrong? S3 is object storage, not a file system. Why D is wrong? Glacier is for archival storage. Question 32. Which AWS service helps protect applications from common web attacks? A. Shield, B. WAF, C. Inspector, or D. Guard Duty? Correct answer B. WAF. Why correct? AWS WAF protects web applications from SQL injection, XSS, and other common attacks. Why A is wrong? Shield mainly protects against DDoS attacks. Why C is wrong? Inspector scans for vulnerabilities. Why D is wrong? Guard Duty detects threats, not blocks them.
Question 33. Which AWS service provides DDoS protection by default? A. AWS Shield, B. AWS WAF, C. CloudFront, D. Guard Duty. Correct answer is A. AWS Shield. Why correct? AWS Shield Standard automatically protects AWS resources against DDoS attacks. Why B is wrong? WAF blocks web attacks, not DDoS by default. Why C is wrong? CloudFront improves performance but is not a DDoS service. Why D is wrong? Guard Duty detects suspicious activity. Question 34. Which AWS service helps detect suspicious or malicious activity? A. Inspector, B. CloudTrail, C. Guard Duty, D. Config. Correct answer C. Guard Duty. Why correct? Guard Duty analyzes logs to detect threats like unusual API calls or compromised accounts. Why A is wrong? Inspector checks for vulnerabilities. Why B is wrong? CloudTrail records API calls. Why D is wrong? Config tracks configuration changes.
Question 35. Which AWS service checks your environment for security vulnerabilities? A. Guard Duty, B. Inspector, C. Shield, or D. WAF? Correct answer B. Inspector. Why correct? Inspector scans EC2 and workloads for security and compliance issues. Why A is wrong? Guard Duty focuses on threat detection. Why C is wrong? Shield protects against DDoS. Why D is wrong? WAF blocks web attacks.
Question 36. Which AWS service helps create a hybrid cloud connection? A. VPN,
B. Direct Connect, C. VPC peering, D. Both A and B. Correct answer, D. Both A and B. Why correct? VPN and Direct Connect both connect on-premises networks to AWS. Why A alone is wrong? VPN is not the only option. Why B alone is wrong? Direct Connect is not the only option. Why C is wrong? VPC peering connects VPCs, not on-premises. Question 37. Which AWS service is best for event-driven architectures? A. EC2, B. Lambda, C. RDS, D. EBS. Correct answer, B. Lambda. Why correct? Lambda runs code in response to events like uploads or API calls. Why A is wrong? EC2 is always running. Why C is wrong? RDS is database. Why D is wrong? EBS is storage. Question 38. Which AWS service is used for message queuing? A. SNS, B. SQS, C. SES, D. MQ. Correct answer, B. SQS. Why correct? SQS is a fully managed message queue service. Why A is wrong? SNS is PubSub, not queue. Why C is wrong? SES is email service. Why D is wrong? MQ is for traditional brokers, not basic queues.
Question 39. Which AWS service sends notifications to subscribers? A. SQS, B. SNS, C. CloudWatch, D. SES. Correct answer, B. SNS. Why correct? SNS sends messages to email, SMS, Lambda, and other endpoints. Why A is wrong? SQS stores messages, not broadcasts. Why C is wrong? CloudWatch monitors metrics. Why D is wrong? SES sends emails only. Question 40. Which AWS service is used for email sending? A. SNS, B. SQS, C. SES, D. Workmail. Correct answer, C. SES. Why correct? SES is designed for transactional and bulk email sending. Why A is wrong? SNS is notifications. Why B is wrong? SQS is queuing. Why D is wrong? Workmail is business email inbox service. Question 41. Which AWS service helps optimize costs by recommending savings opportunities? A. Cost Explorer, B. Trusted Advisor, C. CloudWatch, D. Billing Dashboard. Correct answer, B. Trusted Advisor. Why correct? Trusted Advisor analyzes your account and provides recommendations for cost optimization, security, performance, and fault tolerance. Why A is wrong? Cost Explorer shows spending data but does not give best practice recommendations. Why C is wrong? CloudWatch monitors resources, not costs. Why D is wrong? Billing Dashboard only shows invoices. Question 42. Which AWS service helps visualize and analyze AWS spending? A. AWS Budgets, B. Cost Explorer, C. Trusted Advisor, D. CloudTrail. Correct answer, B. Cost Explorer. Why correct? Cost Explorer provides graphs and reports to analyze usage and spending over time. Why A is wrong? Budgets sets alerts, not deep analysis. Why C is wrong? Trusted Advisor gives recommendations, not charts. Why D is wrong? CloudTrail tracks API calls. Question 43. Which AWS service allows you to set spending alerts? A. Cost Explorer, B. Billing Dashboard, C. AWS Budgets, D. Trusted Advisor. Correct answer, C. AWS Budgets. Why correct? AWS Budgets lets you set cost or usage thresholds and sends alerts when limits are reached. Why A is wrong? Cost Explorer is for analysis, not alerts. Why B is wrong? Billing Dashboard shows invoices only. Why D is wrong? Trusted Advisor gives suggestions, not alerts. Question 44. Which AWS support plan is included by default? A. Developer, B. Business,
C. Enterprise, D. Basic. Correct answer D. Basic. Why correct? Basic support is free and includes billing and account support. Why A is wrong? Developer is paid. Why B is wrong? Business is paid. Why C is wrong? Enterprise is paid. Question 45. Which AWS service provides 24/7 access to cloud support engineers? A. Basic, B. Developer, C. Business, D. Enterprise. Correct answer C. Business. Why correct? Business support offers 24/7 access to cloud support engineers. Why A is wrong? Basic has no technical support. Why B is wrong? Developer has limited hours. Why D is wrong? Enterprise includes this but is not the minimum required. Question 46. Which AWS service provides resource-level access control? A. IAM, B. VPC, C. CloudTrail, D. Shield. Correct answer A. IAM. Why correct? IAM policies control access to specific AWS resources and actions. Why B is wrong? VPC controls networking. Why C is wrong? CloudTrail logs actions. Why D is wrong? Shield protects against DDoS. Question 47. Which AWS service encrypts data at rest automatically? A. S3, B. CloudFront, C. Route 53, D. EC2. Correct answer A. S3. Why correct? S3 supports server-side encryption by default or configuration. Why B is wrong? CloudFront is CDN. Why C is wrong? Route 53 is DNS. Why D is wrong? EC2 requires manual encryption setup. Question 48. Which AWS service is used to manage encryption keys? A. KMS, B. IAM, C. Cloud HSM, D. Certificate Manager. Correct answer A. KMS. Why correct? KMS manages encryption keys used across AWS services. Why B is wrong? IAM manages users and permissions. Why C is wrong? Cloud HSM provides hardware security modules, not key management service. Why D is wrong? Certificate Manager manages SSL certificates. Question 49. Which AWS service provides SSL TLS certificates for free? A. KMS, B. IAM, C. Certificate Manager, D. Shield. Correct answer C. Certificate Manager. Why correct? ACM provides free public SSL TLS certificates for AWS resources. Why A is wrong? KMS manages encryption keys. Why B is wrong? IAM manages users and permissions. Why C is wrong? Shield is DDoS protection. Question 50. Which AWS service is used to deploy applications automatically? A. Code deploy, B. Code commit, C. Code pipeline, D. Code build. Correct answer A. Code deploy. Why correct? Code deploy automates application deployments to EC2, Lambda, and more. Why B is wrong? Code commit is source control. Why C is wrong? Code pipeline manages CI/CD workflows. Why D is wrong? Code build compiles and tests code. Question 51. Which AWS service helps you centrally log and audit account activity? A. CloudWatch, B. CloudTrail, C. GuardDuty, D. Inspector. Correct answer B. CloudTrail. Why correct? CloudTrail records all API calls and account activity for auditing and compliance. Why A is wrong? CloudWatch monitors performance, not audit trails. Why C is wrong? GuardDuty detects threats, not logs activity history. Why D is wrong? Inspector checks vulnerabilities. Question 52. Which AWS service provides a managed container orchestration platform? A. EC2, B. ECS, C. Lambda, D. EBS. Correct answer B. ECS. Why correct? ECS manages containers and handles scheduling and scaling. Why A is wrong? EC2 runs servers, not container orchestration. Why C is wrong? Lambda runs code, not containers. Why D is wrong? EBS is storage. Question 53. Which AWS service allows you to run containers without managing servers? A. EC2 with ECS. B. EKS. C. ECS with Fargate. D. EC2. Correct answer C. ECS with Fargate. Fargate is serverless for containers, so no server management is required. Why A is wrong? ECS with EC2 still needs server management. Why B is wrong? EKS still requires cluster management knowledge. Why D is wrong? EC2 is server-based. Question 54. Which AWS service provides a managed Kubernetes service? A. ECS. B. EKS. C. Lambda. D. Fargate. Correct answer B. EKS. Why correct? EKS is AWS's managed Kubernetes service. Why A is wrong? ECS is AWS native, not Kubernetes. Why C is wrong? Lambda is serverless compute. Why D is wrong? Fargate is compute engine, not Kubernetes service itself.
Question 55. Which AWS service is best for decoupling application components? A. SNS. B. SQS. C. SES. D. EC2. Correct answer B. SQS. Why correct? SQS queues messages so services don't depend on each other directly. Why A is wrong? SNS is pub-sub, not queue-based decoupling. Why C is wrong? SES is email service. Why D is wrong? EC2 is compute. Question 56. Which AWS service enables event-based messaging? A. SQS. B. SNS. C. MQ. D. SES. Correct answer B. SNS. Why correct? SNS sends messages to multiple subscribers when events occur. Why A is wrong? SQS stores messages for processing. Why C is wrong? MQ is traditional broker. Why D is wrong? SES is email. Question 57. Which AWS service helps protect data by encrypting it using customer-managed keys? A. IAM. B. KMS. C. Cloud HSM. D. ACM. Correct answer B. KMS. Why correct? KMS allows creation and management of encryption keys used across AWS services. Why A is wrong? IAM controls access, not encryption. Why C is wrong? Cloud HSM provides hardware modules, not key management for most services. Why D is wrong? ACM manages certificates. Question 58. Which AWS service provides a fully managed data warehouse? A. RDS. B. DynamoDB. C. Redshift. D. Aurora. Correct answer C. Redshift. Why correct? Redshift is optimized for analytics and large-scale queries. Why A is wrong? RDS is for transactional databases. Why B is wrong? DynamoDB is NoSQL. Why D is wrong? Aurora is relational OLTP database. Question 59. Which AWS service is best for tracking application performance metrics? A. CloudTrail. B. CloudWatch. C. Config. D. Inspector. Correct answer B. CloudWatch. CloudWatch tracks metrics, logs, and alarms for applications. Why A is wrong? CloudTrail tracks API calls. Why C is wrong? Config tracks configuration changes. Why D is wrong? Inspector scans security issues. Question 60. Which AWS service provides a centralized governance and account setup best practices? A. AWS Organizations. B. Control Tower. C. IAM. D. Trusted Advisor. Correct answer B. Control Tower. Control Tower sets up landing zones with governance and best practices. Why A is wrong? Organizations manages accounts but does not enforce full governance setup. Why C is wrong? IAM manages identities. Why D is wrong? Trusted Advisor gives recommendations only. Question 61. Which AWS service helps you move large amounts of data physically into AWS? A. Snowball, B. Data Sync, C. S3 Transfer Acceleration, D. Storage Gateway. Correct answer, A. Snowball. Why correct? Snowball is a physical device shipped to you to transfer terabytes or petabytes of data when internet transfer is slow or impractical. Why B is wrong? Data Sync transfers data over network, not physical transport. Why C is wrong? Transfer acceleration speeds internet uploads but still uses internet. Why B is wrong? Storage Gateway connects on-premise storage to cloud, not bulk offline transfer.
Question 62. Which AWS service provides a hybrid storage solution connecting on-premises to the cloud? A. Storage Gateway, B. Snowmobile, C. Glacier, D. EBS. Correct answer, A. Storage Gateway. Storage Gateway integrates local storage systems with AWS Cloud Storage. Why B is wrong? Snowmobile is for massive offline migration. Why C is wrong? Glacier is archival storage only. Why D is wrong? EBS works only inside AWS.
Question 63. Which AWS service helps you migrate databases to AWS with minimal downtime? A. DMS, B. CloudFormation, C. CloudTrail, D. Inspector. Correct answer, A. DMS. Why correct? Database Migration Service moves databases to AWS while keeping them operational. Why B is wrong? CloudFormation deploys infrastructure. Why C is wrong? CloudTrail logs API calls. Why D is wrong? Inspector scans vulnerabilities. Question 64. Which AWS service provides temporary security credentials? A. IAM, B. STS, C. KMS, D. Cognito. Correct answer, B. STS. Why correct? Security Token Service issues temporary credentials for secure access. Why A is wrong? IAM manages identities but not temporary tokens directly. Why C is wrong? KMS manages encryption keys. Why D is wrong? Cognito manages user authentication.
Question 65. Which AWS service is used to authenticate application users like mobile app login? A. IAM, B. Cognito, C. Directory Service, D. Organizations. Correct answer, B. Cognito. Cognito provides sign-up, sign-in, and user authentication for applications. Why A is wrong? IAM is for AWS account access, not app users. Why C is wrong? Directory Service connects to Active Directory. Why D is wrong? Organizations manages accounts. Question 66. Which AWS service provides managed Active Directory in the cloud? A. Cognito, B. IAM, C. Directory Service, D. Workspaces. Correct answer, C. Directory Service. Directory Service provides Microsoft Active Directory in AWS. Why A is wrong? Cognito is for app users. Why B is wrong? IAM is AWS Identity Management. Why D is wrong? Workspaces is virtual desktops. Question 67. Which AWS service provides virtual desktops to users? A. EC2, B. Workspaces, C. AppStream, D. Lightsail. Correct answer, B. Workspaces. Why correct? Workspaces delivers full cloud-based desktops accessible remotely. Why A is wrong? EC2 provides servers, not managed desktops. Why C is wrong? AppStream streams applications, not full desktops. Why D is wrong? Lightsail is simplified hosting. Question 68. Which AWS service streams applications without giving full desktop access? A. Workspaces, B. EC2, C. AppStream 2.0, D. Lambda. Correct answer, C. AppStream 2.0. AppStream streams individual applications to users via browser. Why A is wrong? Workspaces gives full desktop. Why B is wrong? EC2 is server infrastructure. Why D is wrong? Lambda runs back-end code only. Question 69. Which AWS service provides simple VPS-style hosting for beginners? A. EC2, B. Lightsail,
C. Elastic Beanstalk, D. ECS. Correct answer, B. Lightsail. Why correct? Lightsail offers simplified virtual servers with bundled pricing. Why A is wrong? EC2 is flexible but complex. Why C is wrong? Elastic Beanstalk is platform deployment service. Why D is wrong? ECS is container orchestration. Question 70. Which AWS service automatically deploys and manages web applications? A. Elastic Beanstalk, B. CloudFormation, C. EC2, D. Lambda. Correct answer, A. Elastic Beanstalk. Why correct? Elastic Beanstalk handles deployment, scaling, and infrastructure automatically. Why B is wrong? CloudFormation provisions infrastructure only. Why C is wrong? EC2 requires manual setup. Why D is wrong? Lambda runs functions, not full app environments. Question 71. Which AWS service provides automatic infrastructure compliance checks? A. AWS Config, B. CloudTrail, C. GuardDuty, D. Inspector. Correct answer, A. AWS Config. Why correct? AWS Config tracks resource configurations and checks them against compliance rules. Why B is wrong? CloudTrail records API calls, not compliance state. Why C is wrong? GuardDuty detects threats. Why D is wrong? Inspector scans vulnerabilities. Question 72. Which AWS service stores application code in a managed Git repository? A. Code build, B. Code commit, C. Code deploy, D. Code pipeline. Correct answer, B. Code commit. Why correct? Code commit is a fully managed source control service similar to GitHub. Why A is wrong? Code build compiles and tests code. Why C is wrong? Code deploy deploys applications. Why D is wrong? Code pipeline automates workflow. Question 73. Which AWS service compiles source code and runs tests? A. Code deploy, B. Code build, C. Code commit, D. Code pipeline. Correct answer, B. Code build. Why correct? Code build builds and tests code automatically. Why A is wrong? Code deploy handles deployment. Why C is wrong? Code commit stores code. Why D is wrong? Code pipeline orchestrates stages. Question 74. Which AWS service automates CI/CD workflow? A. Code pipeline, B. Code commit, C. Code build, D. Code deploy. Correct answer is A. Code pipeline. Why correct? Code pipeline connects build, test, and deploy stages into an automated workflow. Why B is wrong? Code commit is source storage. Why C is wrong? Code build only builds. Why D is wrong? Code deploy only deploys. Question 75. Which AWS service allows you to run queries directly on S3 data? A. Athena, B. Redshift, C. RDS, D. Glue. Correct answer, A. Athena. Why correct? Athena lets you run SQL queries on S3 without servers. Why B is wrong? Redshift requires loading data into warehouse. Why C is wrong? RDS is relational database. Why D is wrong? Glue prepares data but does not query directly. Question 76. Which AWS service prepares and transforms data for analytics? A. Athena, B. Glue, C. QuickSight, D. Redshift. Correct answer, B. Glue. Why correct? Glue is ETL service for preparing data. Why A is wrong? Athena queries data. Why C is wrong? QuickSight visualizes data. Why D is wrong? Redshift stores analytics. Question 77. Which AWS service creates dashboards and visualizations? A. Athena, B. Redshift, C. QuickSight, D. Glue. Correct answer is C. QuickSight. QuickSight builds charts and dashboards from datasets. A is wrong because Athena queries data only. B is wrong because Redshift stores data. D is wrong because Glue prepares data. Question 78. Which AWS service is used for infrastructure as code? A. OpsWorks, B. CloudFormation, C. Elastic Beanstalk, D. Systems Manager. Correct answer is B. CloudFormation. Why correct? CloudFormation provisions resources using templates. Why A is wrong? OpsWorks manages configuration with Chef or Puppet. Why C is wrong?
Elastic Beanstalk deploys apps automatically. Why D is wrong. Systems Manager manages instances. Question 79. Which AWS service helps manage EC2 patches and maintenance? A. Systems Manager. B. CloudTrail. C. Trusted Advisor. D. Config. Correct answer is A. Systems Manager. Why correct? Systems Manager automates patching and operational tasks. Why B is wrong? CloudTrail logs activity. Why C is wrong? Trusted Advisor gives recommendations. Why D is wrong? Config tracks configuration changes.
Question 80. Which AWS service provides operational insights and recommendations? A. CloudWatch. B. Trusted Advisor. C. Config. D. Inspector. Correct answer B. Trusted Advisor. Why correct? Trusted Advisor analyzes environment and suggests improvements. Why A is wrong? CloudWatch monitors metrics. Why C is wrong? Config checks compliance. Why D is wrong? Inspector scans security vulnerabilities. Question 81. Which AWS service provides highly scalable object storage with 11 nines durability? A. EBS. B. EFS. C. S3. D. FSX. Correct answer C. S3. Why correct? S3 is designed for extremely high durability, 99.9999999%, and scalable object storage. Why A is wrong? EBS is block storage for EC2. Why B is wrong? EFS is file storage. Why D is wrong? FSX is managed file systems like Windows or Lustre. Question 82. Which AWS service helps improve application availability by distributing traffic across multiple AZs? A. Autoscaling. B. Elastic Load Balancer. C. CloudFront. D. Route 53. Correct answer B. Elastic Load Balancer. Why correct? ELB distributes incoming requests across multiple instances in multiple availability zones. Why A is wrong? Autoscaling adds or removes instances but does not distribute traffic. Why C is wrong? CloudFront caches content globally. Why D is wrong? Route 53 resolves domain names. Question 83. Which AWS service allows private communication between VPCs without internet? A. Internet Gateway. B. NAT Gateway. C. VPC Peering. D. Direct Connect. Correct answer C. VPC Peering. Why correct? VPC Peering connects two VPCs privately using AWS Network. Why A is wrong? Internet Gateway connects to Internet. Why B is wrong? NAT Gateway provides outbound Internet access. Why D is wrong? Direct Connect links on-premises to AWS. Question 84. Which AWS feature ensures resources automatically adjust capacity based on load? A. Elasticity. B. High availability. C. Fault tolerance. D. Scalability planning. Correct answer A. Elasticity. Why correct? Elasticity means automatic scaling up and down depending on demand. Why B is wrong? High availability means staying operational. Why C is wrong? Fault tolerance means surviving failures. Why D is wrong? Planning is manual preparation. Question 85. Which AWS service caches content globally to reduce latency? A. CloudFront. B. Route 53. C. S3. D. ELB. Correct answer A. CloudFront. Why correct? CloudFront stores cached copies at edge locations close to users. Why B is wrong? Route 53 resolves DNS queries. Why C is wrong? S3 stores data but does not globally cache. Why D is wrong? ELB distributes traffic. Question 86. Which AWS storage type is best for operating system disks? A. S3. B. Glacier. C. EBS. D. EFS. Correct answer C. EBS. Why correct? EBS provides persistent block storage for OS and applications. Why A is wrong? S3 is object storage. Why B is wrong? Glacier is archival. Why D is wrong? EFS is shared file system.
Question 87. Which AWS service allows users to log in using social identities? A. IAM. B. Cognito. C. Directory service. D. Organizations. Correct answer, B. Cognito. Why correct? Cognito supports login via Google, Facebook, and other identity providers. Why A is wrong? IAM is for AWS account users. Why C is wrong? Directory service connects corporate AD. Why D is wrong? Organizations manages accounts. Question 88. Which AWS service helps detect configuration changes over time? A. Config. B. CloudTrail. C. GuardDuty. D. Inspector. Correct answer, A. Config. Why correct? AWS Config records configuration history and changes. Why B is wrong? CloudTrail records API calls. Why C is wrong? GuardDuty detects threats. Why D is wrong? Inspector scans vulnerabilities.
Question 89. Which AWS service monitors application logs? A. CloudTrail. B. CloudWatch logs. C. Config. D. Trusted Advisor. Correct answer is B. CloudWatch logs. Why correct? CloudWatch logs stores and analyzes application log data. Why A is wrong? CloudTrail logs API calls. Why C is wrong? Config tracks configuration. And why D is wrong? Trusted Advisor gives recommendations. Question 90. Which AWS pricing benefit comes from committing to usage over 1 or 3 years? A. Spot instances. B. Reserved instances. C. On-demand instances. D. Dedicated hosts. Correct answer is B. Reserved instances. Why correct? Reserved instances provide significant discounts for long-term commitment. Why A is wrong? Spot is unused capacity. Why C is wrong? On-demand has no commitment. And why D is wrong? Dedicated hosts are costly compliance option. Question 91. Which AWS service provides shared responsibility for security in the cloud to the customer? A. Physical hardware. B. Network infrastructure. C. Operating system and applications. D. Data center building. Correct answer, C. Operating system and applications. Why correct? Customers are responsible for securing their OS, applications, and configurations inside AWS resources. Why A is wrong? AWS manages hardware security. Why B is wrong? AWS manages underlying network infrastructure. Why D is wrong? AWS secures physical buildings. Question 92. Which AWS service helps analyze access permissions and identify unused permissions? A. IAM Access Analyzer. B. GuardDuty. C. CloudTrail. D. Trusted Advisor. Correct answer, A. IAM Access Analyzer. Why correct? It identifies overly permissive or unused access to improve security posture. Why B is wrong? GuardDuty detects threats. Why C is wrong? CloudTrail logs actions. Why D is wrong? Trusted Advisor gives general recommendations. Question 93. Which AWS service automatically scales application instances based on demand? A. Elastic Load Balancer. B. Autoscaling. C. Route 53. D. CloudFront. Correct answer, B. Autoscaling. Why correct? Autoscaling increases or decreases EC2 instances based on metrics. Why A is wrong? ELB distributes traffic only. Why C is wrong? Route 53 handles DNS. Why D is wrong? CloudFront caches content. Question 94. Which AWS service helps you deploy applications globally with low latency? A. CloudFront. B. EC2. C. S3. D. EFS. Correct answer, A. CloudFront. Why correct? CloudFront delivers content via global edge locations near users. Why B is wrong? EC2 runs servers in a single region. Why C is wrong? S3 stores files but not globally cached by default. Why D is wrong? EFS is file storage.
Question 95. Which AWS service allows private connection from on-premises data center to AWS? A. VPC peering. B. Direct Connect. C. Internet Gateway. D. Not Gateway. Correct answer, B. Direct Connect. Why correct? Direct Connect provides dedicated private network connection to AWS. Why A is wrong? Peering connects VPCs only. Why C is wrong? Internet Gateway uses public internet. Why D is wrong? Not provides outbound internet access. Question 96. Which AWS service is best for storing backups for years at lowest cost? A. S3 Standard. B. Glacier Deep Archive. C. EBS. D. EFS. Correct answer, B. Glacier Deep Archive. Why correct? Deep Archive is optimized for very long-term, low-cost storage. Why A is wrong? S3 Standard is for frequent access.
Why C is wrong? EBS is expensive active storage. Why D is wrong? EFS is shared file system. Question 97. Which AWS service lets you track resource inventory across your account? A. AWS Config. B. CloudWatch. C. CloudTrail. D. GuardDuty. Correct answer A. AWS Config. Why correct? Config maintains a record of resources and their configuration states. Why B is wrong? CloudWatch monitors performance. Why C is wrong? CloudTrail logs API calls. Why D is wrong? GuardDuty detects threats. Question 98. Which AWS feature allows multiple isolated networks inside one AWS account? A. Subnets. B. VPC. C. Regions. D. Availability zones. Correct answer B. VPC. Why correct? You can create multiple VPCs, each acting as isolated networks. Why A is wrong? Subnets exist inside a VPC. Why C is wrong? Regions are geographic locations. Why D is wrong? AZs are data centers. Question 99. Which AWS service provides managed message broker compatible with RabbitMQ/ActiveMQ? A. SQS. B. SNS. C. MQ. D. SES. Correct answer C. MQ. Why correct? Amazon MQ supports traditional message brokers like ActiveMQ and RabbitMQ. Why A is wrong? SQS is simple queue service. Why B is wrong? SNS is pub sub notifications. Why D is wrong? SES is email service. Question 100. Which AWS principle encourages designing systems that recover automatically from failure? A. Elasticity. B. High availability. C. Fault tolerance. D. Scalability. Correct answer C. Fault tolerance. Why correct? Fault tolerance means systems continue operating even when components fail. Why A is wrong? Elasticity adjusts capacity. Why B is wrong? High availability reduces downtime, but may still fail. Why D is wrong? Scalability handles growth. This completes part 1 of the AWS Cloud Practitioner 500-question practice series. Don't forget, understanding the explanation is more important than memorizing the answer. I'll see you in the next part.